Hi, I'm Sarah Montgomery with Dani Beyer Real Estate Team, and today I am sitting next to Laura Coleman with LC Interiors. So for any of you who haven't followed her on Instagram or know her work, she's a local Kansas City interior designer. So we just have her here talking about some trends and what we're seeing right now in interior design. So our first question, Laura, is wallpaper a trend that you're seeing? Is it here to stay, or is it just a random blip?
Wallpaper is not what it used to be in the 1980s or 60s, whatever you think of, like your grandparents' house. That is not what wallpaper is these days. It is definitely here to stay. I think wall treatments in general are here to stay. So you've got the wallpaper, you can do peel and stick, you can do the normal pasted, but then there's the wall treatments where you're adding like board and batten and just like the wood treatments, and then you paint it out. All of that stuff is here to stay, but it's just a modern take on grandma's house.
I like that. And then another big thing in homes right now are kitchens. So I feel like everybody's about the kitchen. What are you seeing in kitchen trends? Where are they going?
Yes, so I have a ton of clients right now that they've all been home for a few months. They're seeing that like, ooh, we really need to update our kitchen. So if you're really wanting to do like a remodel or a refresh, sometimes you're simply changing out the cabinet door style. Maybe you have an older door style that is like arched panels and you really want to modernize it to go to just a simple craftsman type. That's one thing that's really big in the kitchen remodels. When it comes to colors and trends in the kitchen, right now the huge thing, and I'm in love with it, are colored kitchen cabinets. And by that I mean dark, moody colors. So you can go like dark navy, some more black, like a dark green, gray. That is huge in kitchens this year. One thing we're also seeing trickle in design-wise are open shelves. So people are getting rid of the upper cabinets. They want all that open. They can put like their nice white plates on it. They're doing tile, sometimes even like the same countertop material up their backsplash. Mm-hmm. All of that to kind of create this, moment in the kitchen is really what people are striving for 2021 and probably in the next few years.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I love a good colored cabinet. In terms of design aspects, what is something that a seller, one of our sellers could maybe consider?
I think a fresh coat of paint goes a long way. I think you'd be surprised just lightening it up. You can see in the walls here, we have a much lighter color compared to the baseboards. Now, don't get me wrong, I always love a dark, moody color, but I think if you're trying to sell a house, you probably just need to go lighter on the walls. That's gonna probably draw more attention.
Awesome. And what are some myths that maybe you can help squash that somebody needs to have a ton of money to hire a designer like yourself?
No, you do not have to be millionaires. Most of my clients are just regular working people. It's very common that a client will contact me and say, okay, this quarter I got a bonus. I got $2,500. What can we do with it? Very, very common to work with that type of budget. And then they'll say, okay, next quarter, let's move on to this room. So very often we just work in phases of the house. So no, you do not have to be a millionaire. You do not have to have a ton of money. Really, it's whatever you kind of set the budget with. I show up to do a consult and we'll talk through stuff, and I may kind of give you an idea of like, okay, this is what I think it's going to cost to do this room, what you're envisioning. Maybe you come back and say, okay, well, I don't have quite that amount of money. So we start with what we can, and then maybe we do something that's more like a mood board where then I can give you links to projects, or not projects, but to items, and then you can buy them as your budget allows. So you don't have to have just scads of money sitting aside in order to get that magazine-worthy room.
That's awesome. I love that you work with really any budget.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of small projects that somebody might not realize a designer could help with, what are some of those smaller projects that you've worked with?
So the small projects that I love are going to be shelving. So like if you have open shelves next to your fireplace, maybe you have those open shelves in the kitchen that we talked about for the trend. Decorating, designing, fluffing up those shelves is a small project. Doesn't cost a ton of money, but it can make a huge impact. Some people just don't know how to deal with those big open spaces and the long shelves and how to do groupings. So that is a small project that can be done in a couple hours. I also love to do, you might have an entryway and you walk into a house and there's just kind of like this space by your staircase or like this foyer, but it's not quite big enough to do like a huge table. Like, what do I do with this awkward space? I love creating what I call pockets of cozy, to where you can put like a little chair, maybe a table, a lamp, especially if you have, your grandparents want to come in and want to take off their shoes. They need a place to sit. So it's just creating this little space that you would never expect in that area. So those are two really, budget-friendly options that are going to make a huge impact for some awkward spaces that maybe you don't know how to tackle yourself.
Oh, I love that. That is so nice. And okay, so one thing, you mentioned the fresh coat of paint. Do you think it's really important to still just do completely neutral for somebody who's selling their house, or what's your opinion on that?
Yes, some people might not like that answer, but yes, I do think you should keep your paint color neutral if you're going to be selling. I know a lot of times you have kids' rooms that are painted hot pink and bright blue. That works for you, but maybe the next family doesn't have children, or maybe they don't have 2 boys, they have girls, whatever that might be. A lot of buyers get roadblocked walking in and seeing that they have this hot pink bedroom. They're like, oh my gosh, this is going to cost me $800 to paint. When in reality, it costs you $25 and a gallon of paint and a couple hours of your own time. So it's just going to open up your buyer pool to see when you just have these more neutral colors versus the really bright, vibrant colors.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, coming from a designer, I just think it's interesting to know, what are some of your pet peeves?
Oh my gosh. I don't want to offend anybody. One thing, this is just me maybe thinking too much into it, the shower floors, when people want to do pebble shower floors. I have no problem with the pebble. It needs to be more of a sliced pebble. If it's like the rock pebbles, like what you see at a spa, it's just me being crazy, but I think of the soap scum building up around those. Yeah. And for some reason, I cannot get past that. I don't know why, but that is my pet peeve. So you can still do, everyone that wants that spa-like bathroom, you can still do the pebble floor. Just go with a sliced pebble.
That is
much
such a
easier
good tip.
to clean as well. You're cleaning people, yourself, whoever's doing your cleaning. Well, thank you for that one.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's something you just wouldn't think about until you probably install them later too.
Correct.
Okay, so open concepts right now are huge. So are there ways to make an open concept feel a little cozier, or what do you think? How do you work with open concepts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that a lot of my clients struggle with. They're like, I wanted this big open room, but now I don't have any wall space to hang anything. And then I also what do? Go get a 10 by 10 foot sectional. So really the way that you need to do it, and this is where a designer can come in handy, it's breaking up those spaces and creating kind of what we talked about earlier, pockets of cozy. Maybe you move your sofa in a little bit closer, and behind it you can add 2 chairs to kind of create more like a hearth room area. So really just creating these defined spaces. Rugs will help break that up as well. If you put a rug directly with your sofa or your sectional, and then behind it, if you're going to do a separate seating area, do a different rug. Make sure they're all coordinating, but go with a different pattern. You're really just creating these defined pockets of cozy within this large open space.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. I love that. Okay, so our last question is the farmhouse style here to stay, or is it out for 2021?
Oh gosh. Again, I don't want to offend anyone. There are plenty of people that love farmhouse. I would say it is going out. When I talk about farmhouse, and probably the more rustic side, because farmhouse can go in so many directions. The direction that probably has like the galvanized metal, that kind of stuff is probably going away. We can stick with farmhouse, but it's going much more modern. Really design in general for this year is going much more modern. Things as far as like houses, the bases, the bones of the house are going more simple, and then people are really letting their furniture and their artwork speak versus having, like loud walls and loud floors. So the base of the home is going more simple and just a little bit more modern. So the grand scheme of things, I would say the rustic farmhouse is venturing out, and we're going towards a little bit more modern concept.
Oh my gosh, well that's awesome. Laura, thank you so much, and tell everybody where we can find you.
So I do have a brand new TikTok account that has been set up for me. If anyone does TikTok, you can follow me at LC Interiors LLC. It's the same handle for Instagram. My Facebook page has the same thing, and I just launched my new website yesterday. So it's www.lcinteriorslc.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you, Sarah.